All right, welcome. My name is Christian, and we are here in beautiful Italy for the 2024 PyMC Labs retreat, and I'm here with Kemble Fletcher. Welcome.
Thank you, Christian.
So, begin maybe by telling us about sort of how you found your way to PyMC Labs.
Yeah, it's a little bit different story than I think maybe some of the other guys and folks on the team. I found my way here through private business rather than academia. Started out very interested in politics, and so that led me into statistics initially, undergrad, and some of the work I did after school. But it soon became clear to me that that was a bit more challenging, or not something that I really had, my full kind of devotion to. So I found myself working at different advertising agencies, and specifically the analytics departments within those agencies, and helping them develop and nurture and expand their capabilities for measurement and optimization. Um, it really was kind of a circuitous path. Started very low on the totem pole, and through training and through different kinds of exposure, really developed a curiosity that I carry with me to this day. I think, as we all know, data proliferation is only increasing by orders of magnitude each and every year, and making sense of that is terribly, cumbersome, can be very, very challenging work. So I really kind of jumped into that world with both hands, and worked at some of the largest media buying and advertising agencies in the world, WPP, MEC, IPG, OMD, a lot of initialisms there. And each time constantly getting exposed to different things. It wasn't until I think about 2010 when something called digital attribution started coming around, multi-touch attribution started coming around, and it seemed like the answer to so many people's questions about where credit was due, and what, how could you actually determine the value of your investment, both paid and unpaid. And that was fascinating to me, and it opened up this whole new world to really hardcore statisticians and Bayesian experts, and Markov chain modeling, and lift analysis, and the very beginnings of geospatial analysis. And I don't have a background in statistics other than kind of what I did in undergrad, but what I did have is the ability to understand what was happening and translate it to myself as an eventual decision maker or other decision makers, understanding both sides of the fence, as they say, and acting as that kind of interlocutor to affect positive change where I could. There are lots of hurdles that come with multi-touch attribution. There are lots of political, technical challenges that come with it, and it was, every step of the way, it was just very interesting. The natural evolution from multi-touch attribution inevitably went into mixed media modeling, and that, if you thought multi-touch attribution was something to be excited about, mixed media modeling now encompassed your entire investment portfolio, offline and online, exogenous sources, things like consumer confidence index, the price of cotton, all kinds of different metrics that a data analyst and a business person could only dream of measuring, even 10 years prior to that. And it's always been that kind of innate curiosity that's really motivated me in my career. I was eventually recruited I was asked to apply at Google and help develop their products within their Google marketing platform, along with dozens of other people. My specialty being specifically attribution, and helping commercialize that approach, and again, that translation between, okay, what does the math tell us, what does reality tell us, and what can we actually do with it? How can we affect positive change for our clients, or for ourselves if it's being done in another environment? That kind of was a little bit of the end of my, what I would consider like rigorous, really getting in there, doing a lot of ETL, a lot of data cleaning, a lot of analysis. And I moved more into the productization world of taking advanced measurement, specifically offline to online measurement, using geospatial analysis, and comparing that to other data surveys, other point of purchase data. So it really was a continuation of what started me on my path, which is being able to use data, complex data, simplifying it, communicating it, and really just making it accessible, removing some of those barriers to understanding as best as I can. Obviously, I wasn't perfect every step of the way, and there was a lot of missteps, but it's been an invaluable education that has brought me to, and I'm very thankful to PyMC Labs, and that's that's kind of where we are today.
Yeah. The sort of translation skills that I always sort of refer to them, sort of often undervalued and sort of very challenging, right? So you have a wide variety of experiences with a lot of different kinds of organizations, both in terms of sort of their size and their sort of target or focus. What sort of excites you about sort of PyMC Labs, and what sets it apart from some of the other organizations that are out there, some of which you've worked with?
Yeah, PyMC is unlike any organization I've really encountered outside of some of them kind of what I would consider more kind of edge pushing cooperatives and collective agreements, where you have a motivated group of individuals who come together under the auspice of general change, under the idea that tackling hard projects, tackling things that maybe other people are less inclined to approach, less inclined to kind of dig into because they're too risky, or because the margins aren't there. And I think that in many ways sets PyMC Labs apart from a typical business, or from a consultancy, or from even some sort of education collaborative where you have a bunch of students who get together and work on an interesting project. There are so many different disciplines that are covered within PyMC Labs, and I don't just mean just a passing understanding. I mean a real depth of understanding and curiosity that comes together when it does come together. Really does create some really powerful and really interesting thoughts and ideas that just wouldn't be able to really come about outside of some of the most kind of high end and expensive back end analytics rooms, where people are given the freedom to really question everything that they may know and everything that may happen in the future. The future of PyMC Labs is great. It is expansive, and it is most of all interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've said that word a couple of times, but it is very interesting. I think we aim to tackle problems in business verticals and areas that maybe traditionally don't get the same type of exposure and the same type of kind of attention, either because they're not generally very profitable, or someone may not perceive the work as tremendously sexy, if I could use a shorthand word there. But it's that kind of cross collaboration and cross contamination of ideas and solutions, potential solutions, that really makes this kind of a cauldron of no idea is unsafe, no idea is wrong until it's been kind of vetted and understood. Again, I have to go back to the level of expertise that everyone here kind of possesses, and how different it is, and how they do tend to overlap, but only when we can kind of come to one of these challenges that no one has really tackled before. And that, again, is fascinating, and just not something you get outside of some very, very unique circles in our society.
Yeah. Brilliance, and then there's sort of this complementarity, right, between sort of individuals within PyMC Labs. So that's sort of PyMC Labs today. What does sort of the future hold, and what excites you about sort of future directions within Labs?
Yeah, I know this is very, very popular to talk about now, and it can be met with a healthy amount of skepticism, but the kind of the democratization of AI, generative AI, the barriers being removed to accessibility. You and I are very aware of the fact that 5-10 years ago, huge amounts of computing power required huge amounts of space, required huge amounts of expertise, and your average analyst, she couldn't get access to it. He would have to liaise with the university. Those barriers are being broken down week by week, month by month, and I think that PyMC has a big role to play in establishing sensible precedent and sensible understanding with that technology. Can it answer commercial questions? Absolutely. Can it answer societal questions? Potentially. And that's a journey that I'm very excited to begin on and to go on with PyMC. And really my area of focus there is, again, the translation piece we talked about. How do we talk about this in a way that makes it approachable? Now, the technology is approachable, the hardware is approachable. How do we make the solutions that could develop approachable? How do we make them less intimidating? How do we make them? How do we communicate value? Is really kind of something that a lot of very smart people tend to not think about so much or prioritize all the time. And really, at the end of the day, you can come up with a great equation, you come up with a great model, and yes, it can be touted for its individuality, its expertise, its accuracy. But that's another thing about PyMC Labs, is applying that in some way that helps a business or mankind.
All right. Very exciting. Thanks for taking the time to chat with me from here in beautiful Italy.
Thanks, Christian.